Okay, guys. So, the improper use of physical intervention will obviously get us into this situation, right?
Yeah.
It will get the situation worse. If you use a technique on someone and people around you look at this technique you are using and they find it unreasonable, they will challenge you, right? And when they challenge you, there will be problem. You might get into unnecessary argument, you might get into fight with one another, making the situation worse, right? The team's reputation. When people knows that whenever they come to your club or your venue, all they see is someone trying to restrain them, someone who is trying to bully them all the time. Do you think people will keep coming?
No.
Nobody will want to come back. So we need to be very careful, because your attitude sometimes might encourage customers to keep coming, and your attitude at the same time might send the customers away. Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
So, having said that, it will make people to complain about you to the management. And at the end of the day, no one will want to keep engaging you at work. Oh, that guy causes trouble every time he walks. People are always complaining. Do you think your employer will want to be engaging you?
No.
No. And in case you use it wrongly and somebody gets injured, they might decide to take you to court. They might decide to want to make a claim against you and your company. Isn't it?
It is.
So, we need to know when to use the techniques and how to use it appropriately. All right?
Yeah.
Going forward, you can lose your license at the end of the day. Can I get this seat moved down there, please? You can lose your license. And you don't want to do that. The implication, I'm still coming to the legal implication. Right?
Which one?
Back there. Now, when do you use this physical intervention? When? As a last resort. What does that mean?
When everything fails.
So you tried everything else and there wasn't favorable.
When you've tried everything else,
When you ended up with conflict management.
when you have exhausted all your conflict management techniques, all the skills that you know, you've tried it, it's not working. You have been so calm, you've been very professional, you've been very polite, you've shown respect, you've mentioned the implication of their action to them. You've tried switching. You've tried all you could. So that is at the point at which you can use physical intervention. So it must be used as a last resort. Now, if you now use it, physical intervention, it must be justified. You need to be able to justify it that I have no other choice other than to use physical intervention because I have tried X, Y, and Z. I have tried this, my colleague have done this, my supervisor have done it, almost everybody have done it and it failed. That's justification, right? Now, it has to be reasonable. Your action, the force you are using must be reasonable. What do you mean by that, Nikki? If you say something must be reasonable.
Minimum. Very small.
Are you Nikki?
No, sir.
Are you Nikki?
No, sir.
Reasonable. Go ahead.
Can I read this?
I'm asking a question which is not there.
Can you ask me again?
I said, whenever you use physical intervention, you need to show justification for it, and it must be reasonable. What is the meaning of reasonable in this sense?
We have to, I mean, I have to justify the customer that I have to use the critical management.
That is the justification. I'm talking, it has to be reasonable. Okay, now let me help you guys. Reasonable in the sense that everybody that you explain to, in the eyes of every normal human being who hears about what happened, yes, they will know that yes, the action you have taken is all right. However, the action you have taken is not more than the incident that happened. For instance, I come to Loretta with Loretta, sorry, and if I'm holding this bottle of water, threatening to beat her with this or hit her with this, and in return, for her to defend herself, she gets a sledgehammer and hits me on the head.
That's not reasonable.
Is that reasonable?
No.
No.
You're going to jail.
Because that's like, you're gonna die.
He's going to die.
I have to
This
call
is-
to the police.
This is what I've just taken. And in the attempt to defend herself,
But in the moment it's reasonable because you're scared.
whatever response you are giving need to be, if not at the same level.
You will bring a bottle from the bar.
So, what we are saying here is your force must be reasonable. That is, it is not out of place when you consider what happened. It has to be justified. It must be necessary that if I don't take this action, worst thing could happen. Right? Then it has to be proportionate. You hitting me with a sledgehammer, is it proportionate to me hitting you with bottle of water?
No.
No. Those are the conditions that is attached to physical intervention. Number one question on there. Let someone read it.
What are the legal implications of using physical intervention?
What are the legal implications of using it? One, it must be used as a last resort.
Yeah.
Moso, sleeping. It must be used as a last resort.
Yeah.
All right? Now, you normally have to use it to protect someone or yourself from a dangerous situation.
What question is this?
Question 1 on this paper because you're sleeping.
So we write it down as well. Normally use it.
No, you use it as a last resort. As a last resort. That is one response. Break away. This is when you can use physical intervention. To break away or to disengage from harmful contact. Maybe somebody is holding your hand and you need to get away. You use your technique. I'm going to be showing all these techniques to you. Right? Then you can also use it to separate someone from a trigger which is likely to set off a course of events. Trigger, we all know what is called trigger.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were taught triggers and inhibitors. So what are triggers?
Something that makes
Make someone angry. And inhibitors are what?
It reverses the trigger.
They reverse the trigger. So when you see that an action will trigger something, you do that, what? You can use this. You can use physical intervention. Any question? Legal implication. This will also provide an answer to question 1. Now, the authority for security operatives to use force comes from where? 1, the Licensing Act 2003, which set out the issue of issuing licenses to security operatives. Under that law, we can use force. Right? Self-defense, which is under common law, to defend yourself. Under common law, we are also allowed to use force. Then under Section 3, Criminal Act 1967, which is generally referred to as citizen arrest. Do we all know what is meant by citizen arrest? All of you here, you can arrest someone. You can. On one condition, if they are indictable offenses. If someone is committing crime and you reasonably believe that the action of this person is criminal. Yes? As a citizen, you can carry out a lawful arrest. For instance, a sample of this is when you find someone very close to your venue pitching drugs, especially to minors, underage. You have a right to get them arrested and call the police. All right? Do we understand that?
Write down.
Now, one of the legal implications is breach of the peace. If someone is breaching the peace, you can use force on them.
Is noise disturbance breach of the peace?
Noise disturbance, you just need to tell them to reduce the noise. But if someone comes to this class, for instance, start breaking bottle, trying to attack or attacking people, right? It's breaching our peace, right? On that situation or in that situation, you can carry out, you can use force to get that person down. Any question? Now, to question one there, part of the legal implication is we need to use this physical intervention. Yes, it must be within the statutes and common law.
So it's
This force has to be used in line with these statutes and common law. To be used,
It must be within.
a breach of peace. And
no, it must be within statutes, our rights. This is stating the authority must be used under this condition. Right?
Mhm.
These are statutes and common law, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Licensing Act 2003, Criminal Law Act 1967, these are laws that are passed by the parliament. Right?
Yeah.
So we have to write these 4 options in the first question answer.
Yes. You don't need to write this first place, but what I'm telling you is you must use it. When you have to use the force, it must fall within these statutes and common law. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
More so. You're sleeping.
Listening.
You've got a lot to cover in this class. And if you're not attentive, you're going to struggle.
So those are the legal implications for physical intervention.
Whenever you are using it, your right to use it must fall within these statutes and common law.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can put it in your own word. But what I'm trying to tell you is you cannot use it outside this law. You are either using it as a self-defense, you are either using it for someone breaching the peace, or someone committing a crime. Okay? Does that make sense? We go on. What is trespass? Lovesa. What is?
It's like going into private property. Like you haven't got consent to go in, but you're just going in.
All right. Okay. Trespass is committed by a person who is improperly on someone else's property without consent. Improperly. Without consent. Trespass, does it fall under civil law or criminal law?
Civil.
Civil? We all agree civil?
Trespass.
Yes.
No.
It's
No.
civil.
Why? Because he just you put a sign down there saying nobody should trespass, and we went there.
Civil, if I come to your property, you are an individual. So you only need to challenge me to get out of your property.
Okay.
I've not committed a crime. The only time it becomes a crime is if I come with a weapon,
And break
like
something.
gun, or I break in.
Then it becomes criminal.
When I destroy your property to come into your property, that's criminal damage. That becomes criminal. If I come with weapon, it becomes criminal. But if I just walk in there, all you can do is just to ask me to leave or call the police on me. And the police will come and ask me to leave. All right? So, when somebody trespasses, somebody comes to your venue, they are trespassing. And what does it say? The law says no more force is used than is necessary
To remove
the trespasser from the premises.
So just talk to me.
No more force is used than is necessary to remove trespassers. That's the position of the law. The highest, you appeal to them, talk to them, and under normal circumstances, it's released. It's when you go into public properties, government properties, like if you go to number 10 Downing Street, there's a barrier there, and you just jump over the barrier. Yeah? Because it's a government place, it becomes criminal. Right? Lawrence said you're sleeping.
Oh, no.
You are.
No.
I said you are.
Well, as a worker.
Now, rule of self-defense, I've mentioned that to you. If any person has an honestly held belief that he or she or another person is in imminent danger, then you can use force. But such force must be reasonable
No.
and necessary to avert the danger. Alright?
Yeah.
Those are because you want to defend yourself, then you are inflicting serious injury on the person. Criminal Act, can you tap it? Criminal Act, Section 3, I've explained it. Citizens arrest if someone is committing an offense. Alright? For breach of praise, the use of force must be reasonable, necessary, preemptive strike, and justification. If I see that someone maybe will get into an argument and you run out to bring a weapon, I know you're going to strike me with it. Yeah? In that case,
As a supervisor, can you wear protection? As in like braces to protect yourself?
braces?
Yeah.
What about braces?
Like these things that go in your arm and it's very hard.
Anti-stab?
Yeah, like when it's tough.
Yeah, you can wear anti-stab.
And then other protective.
Yeah.
You can wear that.
The other protective, personal protective equipment, that's what they call it.
Is what?
Personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to protect you and doesn't disturb you from performing your duty, then that's fine. All physical intervention needs to be justified, but obviously the higher restrictive techniques will require higher level of justification. So when you use a higher level restrictive techniques, restraining someone on the ground, you must be able to justify it why you have taken to that, right?
Yeah.
Anyone doesn't understand this, please? I've explained resistance, other legislation. Now, what are your responsibilities as those supervisors? Can you tap him up? You want to have a walk? You don't sleep in time. Instead of you to sleep, you're sleeping 2 o'clock. Why won't you be dozing in the class?
It's only 18.
Yeah, and so those supervisors course is for responsible people who knows what they are doing, because you have a lot of role to perform. And that's why they stipulate you must be 18 and above to do this course. It's not for other students, other 18. Now, your responsibility as the supervisor, You need to take reasonable care of yourself. Your own health and safety come first, guys.
Yes,
Your own safety, your own health comes first before others. All right?
yes, sir.
And you need to make sure that your action does not affect the health and safety of others. All right? Whatever action, either by omission or otherwise, does not affect the health and safety of others. That's your responsibility. And that's under the Health and Safety Act 1974. You need to follow the health and safety policies of your employer. And you need to keep up to date with all the safety policies. You practice safe working habits and obey all safety rules. Use protective equipment properly and be aware of emergency procedures and ensure that they are followed when necessary. Do we understand that?
Yeah.
Our responsibility. Under the Employment Act, the Employment Rights Act 1996, all employees, you have a right to protect yourself from danger. So if you see that your life is under threat, you have a right not to go into that workplace. If you know that your life is under threat, you have every right to let your employer know what the situation is and let them take appropriate action. Your safety, your health comes first. Okay?
Yes, sir.
If you are not sure of your responsibilities and the various laws around the licensing 2003, which gives you the power to undertake this training and apply for a license and to legally work as door supervisors. If you need more information, visit SIA website and you get all necessary information there. There are some organizations, there are some sectors that you are protected by law, and there are guidance that you need to follow, most especially when you work in the health and social care department and when you also work in the Ministry of Justice, like the prisons. So if you're unsure of the guidance, visit the SIA website and you get more clarification.
As a supervisor, you're allowed to work in prison.
As a security, yeah. Any questions?
Those are the professional implications, isn't it?
Yes. Duty of care.